definitely keeping food anywhere where we can to maximize the amount that we have on board. So actually in all of these bench seats, we'll have food, as well as these backs will have some extra dry provisions. Yeah, so we got bags of soup in there. So I am the supply officer at shop on board. What that means, I'm responsible for both the food service division and the logistics division. And that'll be the same for all these bench seats. That'll have some maple syrup, chocolate syrup, strawberry syrup. So any kind of random select items like that. We'll have soy sauce in those. We'll have seasoning in these outboard ones.
Imagine you're on a U.S. Navy destroyer, 5,000 miles from home. The crew is exhausted, the mission could stretch weeks longer than planned, and morale hinges on a hot meal. But instead of lifting spirits, the canned food meant to sustain the sailors slowly erodes their health and confidence. Which 5 canned foods can sabotage readiness in ways most people never consider? And why does something as simple as lunch matter to the success or failure of a naval mission? Stick with us as we count down the canned foods every crew dreads.
So the first storeroom I have is the forward storeroom, or the can room, which, as the name implies, is just full of cans. Typically this room is actually a lot more full, with cans coming all the way up to this front door and then actually going to the ceiling. If we're in port, we can spend anywhere from like $700 to $1,000 a day. And then if we're out to sea, anywhere from about $1,600 to like $2,800 per day. So as we fill this up with more cans, kind of like deciding what we're gonna use first and making sure those are actually put in the front. When the guys need to get something out of the freezer, they'll actually put a jacket on, get a headlamp on, get a beanie on, pretty much just layer up like they're gonna go in a cold area. Like this area is below freezing most time right now.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
We operate off of a 28-day cycle menu. We'll have the same meals every 28 days. It's definitely designed where it creates that kind of consistency throughout the week.
Feels good. Good to know that all I have left is to serve this out. And then after that, it's just clean up, and then I'm done.
If you're having Italian on a night, you know it's a Thursday, or if you're having pizza for dinner, then you know it's a Saturday. So it helps the crew kind of keep their own pace, and honestly helps them pass the time. If you're like, oh wow, this is the second time we've had pizza this underway, then you know it's already been 2 weeks.
The stores officer pulls the steel latch on a supply bay and swings the door open. Inside, the light catches rows of canned goods, stacked floor to ceiling, thousands of tins packed tight. These rations are supposed to keep 200 sailors alive during a 6-month deployment. But what looks like security can quickly turn into a disaster. The air already feels heavy with the smell of metal lids and cardboard cases, and the crew knows a long cruise is about to taste far worse than it should. Morale seems to sink the moment the labels are read. Canned food is a lifeline at sea, no question. Fresh produce doesn't survive weeks on the water, and resupply is rare once a warship heads past the horizon. These tins are designed to fill the gap, offering a consistent source of calories when nothing else is available.
Rich?
I'm doing great. I would take everything but the ham.
Extra ham? I got you. Extra ham. I got you. Just for you. But I know how much you love that pork.
The crew goes to relax. It's also where they eat. It's also where they, kind of let their hair down and study if they need to, or play cards, play dominoes, play video game.
You already know.
No corn and no soup.
Extra corn, extra soup? I got you.
I honestly love cooking. I love being in the galley. I love working with food. I love putting out really good meals and making people happy with them.
The problem is not every canned product is created equal. Some are bland to the point of inedible. Others spoil faster than expected or carry a strange texture that makes chewing them almost unbearable. For crews who cannot eat anywhere else, the wrong can doesn't just taste bad, it triggers doubt about whether leadership cares at all for their basic comfort. That's the paradox. The Navy depends on canned goods because they travel well, stack easily, and survive months of storage. Yet the very cans that guarantee survival also carry hidden risks. A bad batch can spark foodborne illness that spreads through an entire division. A monotonous or tasteless option can break morale in days. When the crew is trapped in the steel compartments with no choice but to eat what is served, every meal feels magnified and small frustrations grow into larger conflicts. One submarine crew discovered that the hard way. Their mission was supposed to last another 3 weeks, but pallets of canned stew had spoiled. Within hours, sailors reported nausea, stomach cramps, and fatigue. The command had no choice but to cut the operation short, surface, and request emergency resupply. To the rest of the fleet, it looked like mechanical failure or strategic withdrawal. In reality, it was dinner from a tin that ended the mission. That sort of failure highlights another truth. Shelf life painted on a label is not enough to guarantee success. The human factor matters. Texture that resembles paste instead of meat, flavors that carry chemical aftertastes, and food that lacks enough protein or micronutrients all erode a sailor's ability to function under pressure. Nutritionists within the Navy warn that a technically safe can might still leave crews sluggish, irritable, or short of strength during long watches. Even brand new flagships have stumbled against this problem. The USS Gerald Ford, the Navy's most expensive carrier, refused delivery of more than 40,000 cans during trials because they passed inspection on paper but collapsed morale among sailors. The food met storage standards but tasted so poor that the supply chain was forced to scramble for alternatives before the ship left for deployment. It was a lesson that even the most advanced ship afloat can be undermined by what fills the galley shelves. Mid-ocean, the danger grows sharper. Imagine a destroyer weeks into its Pacific patrol, freezers already cleared out, and the only protein left coming from low-grade tins stacked in the back. Meals become repetitive, nutrition slips, and tempers rise. Sailors on long watches start blaming each other for mistakes that come from fatigue and lack of sustenance, not intent. Something as simple as a poor meal plan begins to shape health, readiness, and discipline. In 2023, onboard skirmishes confirmed how thin that line can be. Reports surfaced of canned meat causing fights in mess halls, sailors hurling complaints through the chain of command, and leaders forced to schedule disciplinary hearings over arguments that started with dinner trays. A tin of food became the spark for written reports, strained units, and hours lost to paperwork instead of training. Commanders were left balancing punishment with sympathy, aware that every sailor had no choice but to face the same plate again the next day. That's why these 5-can foods carry more than a reputation for tasting bad. They've derailed missions, forced commanding officers into damage control, and proven that no technology can shield a crew from the impact of poor nutrition. Missiles, radar, and aircraft might dominate discussion of naval power, but behind them all sits the truth that victory sometimes depends on a meal served from a tin. And when the wrong can slides across the galley counter, it becomes clear that small details can decide the outcome of a long voyage. Weapons decide engagements, but food decides endurance. A warship can carry the most advanced missiles, yet if the crew cannot eat well, the fight collapses long before combat begins. That is why rations are more than just supplies. They are the daily fuel of every mission. Think about the future of naval power. It may rest as much on smarter preservation methods and nutrient-dense meals as on new carriers or stealth aircraft. A single overlooked can has already forced missions to fail. The wrong tin doesn't just spoil dinner. It can drain strength, fracture unity, and cripple an entire operation.